Hello, everyone. So, we will be talking about signs of poor gut health today. I think we have all heard about gut health connection with our brain. So, gut health is very, very important. So, that's why we have Dr. Mansi. Dr. Mansi with us. She is a naturopathic doctor here in US. Welcome, Dr. Mansi.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Great. So I know that as a kid, when you were growing up, you had some gut issues as well. So can you just tell us a little bit about that journey?
Yeah, so growing up, I would have chronic abdominal pain, sometimes constipation, and I was drinking a lot of milk at that time. Growing up, we're told milk is healthy, and while it might be for some people, for me it was actually not, and we couldn't figure out till years later that it was actually the dairy that was causing a lot of the pain and the chronic pain I used to get. And of course, down the line, we've come to know that there's not only the pain that was connected, but a lot of other issues like skin issues, inflammation. So working on diet, I think it's a continuous process for me to work on my diet, and as I get older, new and new things come up. But just understanding that so much of our health is related to our gut and how healthy our gut is. So that was kind of my journey growing up.
And then were you able to control it using naturopathic medicine and some of the other remedies?
Absolutely. I mean, I use it, my gut is very sensitive. I feel still today, but just having all these remedies at hand and being mindful of what I'm eating, writing down what I'm eating, tracking my skin if I have the pain, if I have other symptoms, and doing a lot of elimination as well. So I'm mindful. I don't really consume dairy, don't really consume gluten anymore either, and I've seen a drastic change in how my gut health is, and also just overall like balance in energy, balance in mood and fatigue. So it's all connected.
Sure, sure. So tell us, let's just talk a little bit about the symptoms that are not so obvious for poor gut health.
Yeah, so I kind of mentioned a couple as well, but chronic fatigue, brain fog, if you're always getting sick, so a low immune system, even joint pain, skin rashes or eczema or psoriasis or acne, they all can be signs of poor gut health, including vitamin deficiencies, uh, migraines, instability of mood, or feeling, excessively anxious or depressed, dark circles under your eyes, lack of sleep. Those are all signs of poor gut health, like you said, that are more sneaky. They're not, as obvious as just having like blood or mucus around your stool. So
So how does it work? Like someone comes to you with these not all of the symptoms, but few of the symptoms that you just talked about. Then you do some kind of a test first, like a GI test, to understand what's going on in the gut.
yeah, and if the if I think it's applicable to do the testing, which I think it is for the most part, but being in New Jersey, sometimes I'm limited in the testing that I can do. But oftentimes, these are the signs that I look at. Do they have skin issues? Do they have multiple issues that are kind of all connected to gut, indicating that we really need to work on the gut? So, and that's what I do. I do food sensitivity testing as well because I think we're in a environment and culture where we're eating a lot of genetically modified foods and things that are just foreign to our gut health, and just helping kind of balance that out. And overall, once you start balancing your gut, I find that most of the clients have better energy, better mood. They're not as tired, so it really helps the whole system overall health.
So let's talk a little bit about the toolkit for cleansing the gut.
hmm So yeah, that's a great topic because I think we're hearing about this all the time. I start with the basics. Like let's start with the basics of um, eating whole foods, plant-based diet as much as you can. I know it's not always possible, but the variety of nutrients you get with just varying your diet. So instead of eating the same thing every day, try to include new fruits and new vegetables into your diet because they contain all the nutrients and minerals we need for a healthy functioning gut. So that includes vitamins, minerals, flavonoids, fiber. So things that are all like nutritive to the gut helps to digest your food better and eliminate toxins. And that's, those are the essential functions of the gut as well, to digest the food, break them down into absorbable particles so we can really extract the nutrients from the foods and be able to eliminate the waste. So the other things that you can do is prebiotics and probiotics. We want to feed the good bacteria. So we hear about probiotics a lot, and I know a lot of people, are taking them anyway, but prebiotics are equally important. So those are foods, inulin, chicory, asparagus, onions, a lot of these vegetables that we can be eating that feed the good bacteria. So they feed the probiotics essentially. That can be extremely helpful as well. And then I mentioned the fiber. Fiber is so important. We have soluble and insoluble fiber. Both have a role for gut function. So including a diet that's rich in fiber is really important. And then also just drinking a lot of water. So we as a culture and society tend to gravitate towards more acidic drinks or beverages, or like caffeinated energy drinks, things like that. But water is extremely detoxifying, so it helps to eliminate the waste, and also just to help your digestive system function a little bit less hard. So it's helping to break down the food as well. And then something which I really like to focus on is breathing. I think we're so stressed out as a culture, and everyone kind of experiences this. I think this past year, everyone has talked about anxiety and feeling like, they're always anxious about something, nervous, and that can really have a toll on your gut health as well. The gut brain connection is huge. So having, something that you can do to break that stress pattern. Breathing is simple. It takes just a few minutes, and you can really, it's the impact is profound. It's significantly helpful to just take a few deep breaths, which helps your gut to relax as well.
So any particular type of breathing? There's so many different type of pranayamas, as both of us and all of us know. Any particular type that you would recommend?
So I do this breathing, which I think is really, it's simple to do, called 4-4 water breathing. So you breathe in for 4 and breathe out for 4. So it's kind of tonifying the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. You're giving equal importance to both parts. So overall, it's like balance. I think that balance is really important too. Like you said, there's so many different types of breathing patterns. Some are better to do in the morning to kind of get you ready for the day and energized. And then some are better for sleeping. But if you're trying to do it, just to maintain that energy throughout the day, or you're feeling a little bit more anxious, I think the water breathing, 4-4 breathing is really powerful.
So 4-4 breathing is just breathing for 4 seconds, like through nostrils or through mouth?
I recommend, if you can, to do it through the nostrils, because I think the receptors that we have in our nose is super powerful in the connection to the brain. So it kind of signals that safety, that we're, I'm fine, I'm not anxious. So I think if you can do the nostril breathing, that's better. But deep diaphragmatic breathing is what I focus on.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about herbs, right? As a naturopathic medicine doctor, you have herbs as one of the big toolkits.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on using herbs for gut health?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think, ginger is one of my favorites. And I think the nice thing with herbs is usually they're not just like one for one. You can often use the same herb for so many different things. So I think, in that sense, herbs are so powerful, and they can help overall functioning of not just our health, but also targeted functioning for gut health. So ginger, like I mentioned, it's a powerful anti-inflammatory, but it's also really good for just gut health. It helps with our digestion, carminative. So things like fennel, things like soft, we might call it, but fennel seeds are also equally good for digestion purposes. And then if we're trying to decrease inflammation, which most of us are all the time, turmeric is super helpful too, to just tone down the inflammation in the body. So the gut is also, a source of great source of inflammation, and that will help with gut health as well.
So what are your thoughts on Ayurvedic herb called Triphala?
I think it's great. I personally use it often too. I've kind of grown up using it on and off. Um, and when we're talking about Ayurveda, we're talking about the three doshic balance. So I think it's wonderful to just use every day. It's not too strong, but it will really help. You'll notice that difference in your gut health. It's helpful to bind loose stool if that's your issue, and it also helps to kind of break it down if you're constipated. So I think it really has that balancing effect.
Sure. So, what are the three things that you like to tell the users to start doing?
So I think one is avoid processed food. I kind of went over that in of like making sure you're eating more plant-based whole foods. So processed foods, because processed foods, the pesticides that are used and like it's just foreign to our body, and we're not able to break down these foods as well. It creates a lot of inflammation. Similarly, avoid sugar and dairy and gluten as well, because for a lot of us it's inflammatory. Not for all of us, so of course you want to work with your naturopathic doctor or holistic doctor, because each person is different. But I think that those are powerful. And then water, I think drinking water is so important to just help your body eliminate the toxins.
And don't ignore the signs, the sneaky
Oh,
signs that we talked about, right?
yeah, because it's all connected at the end of the day. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Mansi. Very informational session, quick and to the point. I love these kind of sessions. Anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up today?
No, I think we covered it all. Yeah, like you said in the beginning, the gut brain connection is huge, and gut skin connection is huge too. So if you're having any of these symptoms or issues, you should go and look deeper rather than kind of just try to get quick fixes, because I can assure you there's something wrong with the gut, and just by modifying a few simple things, you might really find balance and health.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for sharing this information with us. To all the viewers, let us know if you have any questions. Put it in the comment and we'd be happy to get back to you. Any feedback, comments, concerns, you are welcome to tell us how we are doing. With that, I'd like to wrap up this session. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.